Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. We're going to get into everything you need to know that's happening in the broader markets today, as well as with AMC stock. So AMC is actually doing very well, massively outperforming the broader indexes, an index such as the NASDAQ, which at the time of recording this video is up about 0.25%. AMC stock is up about 1%. So outperforming by about 4x. And that is the first bit of what is encouraging here in this video. So hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and source your comments, questions, or concerns down below in the comments section. If you guys want to stay up to date with all of these videos, make sure you hit that subscribe button as well as the notification bell. So first things first, let's talk about what's happening today. Obviously, as we reported in the last video, your inflation numbers came in better than expectations, and that was great news, right? That's awesome. Freaking perfect, okay? Especially those of you guys that finally want to see this debacle come to an end almost 2 years later of higher inflation. Your core inflation report came in lower than expectations at 4.7%. You were expecting 4.8%. Your headline inflation rate year over year came in at 3.2%, and you were expecting 3.3%. So this was better than expectations basically across the board. And your initial jobless claims came in a little bit hotter than expectations. Forecast was 229,000. This came in at 248,000. So a little bit of weakness in the labor market and better inflation numbers. That should have been your best case scenario. Indeed, it was not. The NASDAQ is up 0.25%, but it was up over 1.25% back here in the beginning of trading in the morning. So you've seen a deterioration of the markets into kind of the close, and this could get worse, and it wouldn't surprise me if it does. Now, as far as the data that we're going to get tomorrow, today's data was CPI, Consumer Price Index. Tomorrow's data is Producer Price Index, so it's basically the reading of inflation and on the producer side. You're expecting 0.2%. Last month's rating was 0.1%. You're expecting an increase here. These numbers have been running on the lower side, lower than obviously CPI for a while now. So it wouldn't surprise me to see a negative number, but you are expecting an increase. So lower the better as far as this is concerned. Then you get core PPI month over month and year over year as well. And then PPI year over year. PPI year over year, expecting that at 0.7%. Last month's rating was 0.1%. So you're expecting a big jump on a year over year basis as far as PPI year over year. That could be negative, but I think the CPI report is definitely the most important one, and that's what the markets like to pay attention to the most. So I'm not going to hold my hat that it's going to give the market some big reaction. Now, the Michigan Consumer Sentiment Survey for August is expected at 71. This comes out at 10 o'clock in the morning. 5-year inflation expectations are expected at 3%. Your 1-year inflation expectations are expected at 3.3%. So you are expecting a little bit of a move down on your 1-year inflation expectations, and 5-year inflation expectations to remain stable from where they were last month. So that could be one of the biggest things to watch for tomorrow, especially if those do move around. Now, as far as AMC specifically, we're not getting any crazy company specific news. We're just coming off of earnings. AMC reported a profit. That was very, very positive. Now, we do have an increased number of FTDs. The FTD number on the day today is 12.5 million. Tomorrow, it's 12.7 million. So potentially that could lead to even more upside with the markets, and that would be positive, right? If these FTDs lead to actually FTDs getting covered, in which it doesn't seem like that has actually happened throughout this whole cycle, well, that would be positive and help out AMC stock. It might explain why we've been more resilient and doing better recently, but then you could also point to the fact that AMC just gave us the first profit since 2019, and that would also be positive. So it's really hard to say what is affecting AMC shares and causing this better momentum recently, this better upside move, and definitely holding up better on some of those red days we've seen in the broader markets recently. I would say maybe both of these factors. Now, as we reported in the last video, the short interest of free float sitting at Apparently, the legal short interest at 26.69%. The last reading we had was 29.05%. So I don't believe these numbers in the slightest bit, as well as I believe you guys don't also believe these numbers as well. Now, if we take a look at the option activity here on the day today, we are looking at a positive order value of 18%, 16 orders totaling $4.01 million with a positive order value of 18%. The same positive order value that we seen yesterday, better than what we have seen recently for AMC stock within the past week. 6% positive order value is where we have been sitting at. So definitely like 3 times more bullish than what we have seen recently, guys. So there is that information. As far as earnings, like we said in the last video, you're not going to have any crazy big earnings today. Really, earnings season is done from this point on as far as earnings that will move the markets. One that I am specifically watching is IONQ. They create some semiconductors, and that stock's up like 300% this year. It could get very volatile pretty dang quickly. So that's a big one. As we reported in the last video as well, the Chinese real estate sector is seeing some of those Evergrande problems starting to pop up again. Not with Evergrande, but with Country Garden, one of the largest non-state-owned developers by sales. They have missed 2 bond payments. This comes at the same time as WeWork, one of the largest commercial real estate owners in the U.S., is reportedly about to file for bankruptcy as well. So it looks like we're seeing a bit of a shit show in Europe, in China, and starting in the U.S. China is definitely heading for a recession. Europe's already in a recession, and it looks like these factors could push us into a recession maybe a little bit faster than some people were expecting. I think a big catalyst for our markets is going to be student loan repayments that start October 1st. Interest starts accruing on September 1st. But look into the SAVE program that Biden has just started. If you make less than $15 an hour, you might not need to even pay anything for a payment, or it could bring down your discretionary your payment based on your discretionary income from 10% previously to 5% this time around. So look into that if any of you guys have student loan repayments that start into effect here in the next couple of months. That's personally what I would do. Now, as far as all of that, the Fed rate monitor tool on the day is giving us an 89% chance of a pause. So after today's CPI report, it's a little bit more clear that we're going to get a pause at the September meeting, although that's not a guarantee, and whatever economic data that we get from here on out is definitely going to play a role in this and change the probabilities. Now, as we said in the last video as well, the Stock O tracker data is pretty rough for this Friday. We're only seeing about 12,000 calls in the money, 122,000 puts in the money. But for next week, you're going to have 48,000 calls in the money, 484,000 calls out the money, 318,000 puts in the money, and 760,000 puts out the money. So if we do get a ruling from the courts next week, this increased option, activity could be very volatile. Now, if it's the following weeks, August 25th, September 1st, or September 8th, you're going to have a lot less option activity on these 3 expirations, at least as of right now. We'll see how many options do start to get rolled over to these expirations. But if you do see an influx of options, that could give the stock quite a move. Now, if we take a look at some of the cost to borrow fees here on the day for AMC stock, you have an estimated short interest or free float from Ortex at 27.5%, 142 million shares that are currently sold short. Cost of borrow average 357.5%, cost of borrow max 366.32%, cost of borrow minimum 348.67%. Interactive Brokers is giving us one reading of the cost of borrow fees today at 244%. So there is that. If we take a look at the broader Ortex data, you got a short score of 93, about $700 million currently in short positions in AMC, 27.5% free flow out on loan, or short interest of free flow out on loan at 38.61%. There's a big gap here. So either the free float out on loan needs to come down, or the short interest needs to go up. 200 million shares that are currently 200 million shares that are currently out on loan. Days to cover 8.42, cost to borrow 253.22%, and utilization at 82.29%. As far as the actual charts are concerned with AMC, you're sitting above that 100-day moving average at $4.83 per share. That's the level you want to watch on any downside. It seems like we've held support there for about a week now. Give or take. The 200-day moving average is going to be a level of resistance. That is where we have found resistance back here on July 24th, on July 25th, as well as most recently on August 8th. If you do get a move above the 200-day moving average, that's really good. If you get a move under the 100-day moving average, that's not so good, and that likely sets you back up for a move down to the 50-day moving average of $4.60 per share. But I do think based off of the recent earnings we have seen, you do likely trend to the upside. You do likely make your way to that upside until we get a ruling from the courts, because this profitable quarter we just seen from AMC and likely another profitable quarter to come really puts the odds of bankruptcy or AMC running through all of its cash off the table, at least for right now. It makes it a lot less certain that that will actually happen, guys. So that is going to do it for this video. Hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and source your comments, questions, or concerns down below in the comment section. You guys have a great rest of your day, and I will see you in the next one.